folks. It's probably 7:30 in the morning on December the 10th, and I'm out for my drive. I'd like to say thank you to everyone that's been watching and listening. Let's see if I can't get this to set up right. And yeah, where do we go from here? Do I need that on? No, don't keep that on. I always talk about helping other people. So today I'm going to ask what everyone is doing. Well, I'll stop it. What everyone's doing to help out people this time of year. You know, we're all limited in our abilities, especially financially, to help everybody out as much as we'd like to. I see people that are, no, that's enough. I see people that are finding it hard mentally, emotionally, financially, and I'm not sure how to help. I've asked God, what to do. I've got a few ideas. There's a couple people that I know need a drive to appointments and whatnot, and I'm going to offer that for them. Maybe they, pick up some groceries and get what they need or whatever. What does everybody else do to help out? I think a lot of us are struggling just to help ourselves and our family. I know I am. I don't have it bad, but I'm not rich. So, what do you do? It's a question, isn't it? Does it all fall back on society and their responsibilities, or does it fall on our own shoulders? Some of the people have made their decisions to get where they're at now, but really, is it their fault? I'll tell you why. Maybe they weren't given the tools to make the right decisions. Our education system definitely doesn't stand up and show us how to, be financially secure. What they want to do is put us in debt. Oh, you've gone to school, you got your grade 12, you're going to university now. But in order to do that, at 18, 19 years old, you got to go into debt. And then guess what? You may take a course or courses or a line of work that you're not happy with at all. Then what? You're still in debt. And now you got to work in a job you don't like. How hard is it to teach our children to succeed? Is it really that hard? And by succeed, I don't mean, being millionaires. I mean being able just to provide the basics for their family. Our government, we're taxed to death. Our government's not, I don't know what they're doing. I really don't. So, what do we do? How do we fight back to a system that's broken, that doesn't support the people that need it most? such as our homeless this time of year. Our people that have food insecurities, our people who are sick and have financial burdens because of their conditions, health conditions. What's our society do about that? It's supposed to be a modern, civilized society. Instead, we're too quick to judge. Oh, you're an alcoholic, you deserve what you got. Or, oh, you're a drug addict, you deserve what you got. Or, oh, you're just stupid because you made the wrong financial decisions, you deserve what you got. Well, maybe we were taught those conditions. Awful funny, 1% of the world has 99% of the money. And they're holding on to it and making rules that we don't know how to play against. And I don't think people want, big extravagance. We're just trying to get through the day, a lot of us. I know I'm blessed. I'm lucky enough to have food on the table. I'm lucky enough to have a roof over my head. And I'm lucky enough to have a vehicle and pets. I'm lucky that I have 3 beautiful children, a beautiful grandson, hopefully more grandbabies. What a blessing. Blessing from God. Wow, that was windy. Almost took the door right out of my hand. So, yeah. I pray to God every day. I've already prayed this morning. I didn't say my prayers on here because I made 2 videos and deleted the phone because I didn't know. I wasn't happy with it. I really am trying to help people. And I just banging my head up against the wall. I don't know how. Other than doing small things, maybe they matter. I'm sure they matter. Wow, the wind never picked up. Guess we're supposed to get some rain today. But what do you do to help? How do you make a difference? What do you do when you're down and out and depressed? You turn towards God? I know I do. And it does make a difference. If anybody wants to give me some ideas, I'd love to hear from them. On what you do. I know there's food bags, but they're max too. Social services doesn't help as much. They're max too. So what do we do? Where do we go? People just trying to give their kids Christmas where they have ample food on the table and a few gifts under the tree. I remember a time when I was younger, my mother and father divorced. My uncle took us in because we had nowhere to go. And he supplied a meal for Christmas and a few Christmas gifts. We were thankful. More than thankful. I find it cold. That's what my family does. Try to help me on down the road. Come on, let's get the truck. Cold, windy for this. stay away. Oh. Wow. Get the heater on. Oh. So yeah, back to what I was talking about. I've been going to church. I've been saying my prayers. It's made a difference in my life. It's made a difference in my wife's life. I've been talking to my children about God. I don't think they're ready to commit yet. And why would they be? I'm no preacher. Not smart enough to explain everything to them. They believe in God, but I don't think they put their trust and faith in God yet. It's kind of hard to put your trust and faith in God. You know you should. And since I've done that, things have worked out for me. But it's a big step. People get afraid of the unknown. You know? Afraid that it's just a waste of time and it won't work. But there is something to it. There's something to God. It's true. It's got to be true. You know? For me, it's blind faith, and I do believe in Him. And I will continue to believe in Him until I close my baby blue eyes. And I am reaching out to Him to ask Him how to show me the way to help people. And I am going to do the little things that I can do. Some of the burden's too big for me to carry. You know, I can't support another family. Although I wish I could. I really do. I wish I could support 1,000 families. Wouldn't that be nice? Help 1,000 families get on their feet and get back. Everybody work together. Just think if you had 1,000 people that had a clear mind and a clear heart but were struggling, and they all sat down to come up with an idea about how they can make their world better. Whether it be starting a business, all working together, you know, to get themselves all out of debt, to get themselves a house. Even if it was 5 people, never mind 1,000, but 5 people. You know, let's get together and hustle. See how we can make this happen. 5 families. Let's get together and sit down and say, okay, where do we go from here? How do we get ourselves in the situation we're in? How do we get ourselves into a home that we can call home? How do we get ourselves in a situation where we don't have to worry about food? How do we get ourselves in a situation where we don't have to worry about a power bill that will be paid? You know, that we have enough money for a vehicle, a reliable vehicle to get us back and forth if we live in a rural area. Because I do live in a rural area, so you need a vehicle. Other people have done it, and they've done it on their own. But when you work together as a group, I think you can accomplish more. I think that's what I'm trying to get at. I'm not asking for, you know, for people to throw money at me and, here, you take this money and you help so-and-so. No, let's sit down, you know, get 5 families, 2 families, 1 family, and say, okay, how do we make this work? I've tried it with my kids. And the roadblock that I find there is that, 1, they're already in debt from education. 2, they're in jobs that they're not really happy with. You know, the boys are happy, but the girls would rather be home raising a family. But they're financially in debt from their education and stuff, trying to get that paid off. And, you know, they don't see a way out. They just see themselves going to work every day. That's sad, isn't it? You get up and leave your family, go do something you don't like, just so you can keep a roof over your family and feed them, even though you don't see them. I think there's something wrong with that picture. I think secondary education should be paid for by our government. I think maybe our government should have a list of jobs that when you get out of school, you know you're going to have a job. Here's what we need. We need 15 carpenters, we need 100 doctors, we need 100 nurses, we need 10 lawyers, you know, and here's how many spots we got for that. And, you know, if your interests lie there, go there and do that. They do enough studies on everything else and waste enough money on other studies. Why couldn't they do that? Wouldn't that be awesome? If you had something in front of you when you were getting out of high school that said, okay, here's what's available. You're almost guaranteed a job when you get out. And that doesn't mean that you can't start your own business if you want to do that. Which really, it has its hurdles, it has its headaches, but it has a lot of benefits. People who are rich usually don't work for other people. They work for themselves. You know, financial freedom. And they don't teach that in school, do they? No. They teach you that you pick something and hopefully it's a job that the rich can pay you to do at a lower rate than what it's worth. How do you put value on being away from your family for 8 to 12 hours a day? The suffering your family does with you not being there. You know? The toll that you put your body through for that 8 to 12 hours a day. You know, the tiredness, the aches, the pains, the damage to your back, or, you know, to your mental health, to your well-being. They don't factor that into your wage, do they? Right? They don't factor the dangers of your job into it. And you could say, oh, I'm just a secretary. What dangers do I have? Well, you're sitting in a sedentary life in a chair 8 to 12 hours a day, sedentary, not moving. That's hard on your body. That's scientifically proven. Not paid for that, are you? You're just paid to go there and do that job. So what do we do about it? I'd like to get 5 people together, 5 families together, that want to make a change, want to get out of debt, and let's start at the beginning and see if we can do it. Just like I started at the beginning with this YouTube video stuff. To see if I could do it. Man, I'd love to hear your comments. Your ideas. And if you say it won't work, that's fine. But maybe you can come up with an idea on how to make it work. Wouldn't that be better? If something doesn't work, you try to fix it, or you start over so that it does work. Like, subscribe, and share my videos. Comment below. I'm in Nova Scotia, Canada. A small town, just your average person who has his own problems, trying to make a difference in somebody's life. Well, you know, without having to worry about ripping somebody off. Just trying to help. Be a cool experiment if it worked. We could prove it worked. Show the government it could work. Maybe they'd have grants for us that we can get to help people. Well, this is step one. This is step two. This is the steps to success. God wants us to succeed. God wants us to be happy. Maybe the first step is putting God back into your life. Can't hurt. Right? I think it's a good idea. December 10th, 2025. Let's see where we go from here. Take care, everyone. Talk soon.